Okay, welcome. Thank you, Father, for the day. Thank you, audience, you incredible audience, for being here. Let me tell you something. We've got ourselves a treat, a design treat, a story, cool stuff going on, from a youngster to an incredibly talented young man, talking about his example through an amazing mother and entrepreneur. And we're talking about a journey today. So welcome every single person. Pull over. There's going to be some cool stuff that comes up. And if you're driving, you better not be looking, because I know it's going to be tempting. Welcome, Ocean Baker, designer. I mean, getting ready to go on trade shows. Y'all, this guy started this journey. Maybe I'm stretching this. Please correct me. When he was 12, he knew that he wanted to do that. Is this correct, Ocean?
Yeah.
I mean, so we're talking to somebody, when people say, oh, I never knew what I wanted to do, still don't know what I want to do. He knew. And when you see his stuff, I hope you purchase some of his stuff, get to one of his shows, meet his mom. This is somebody that has always known what he wanted to do. It's the coolest. And he's this great guy. Baker. He is located, stationed, I'm going to say, in Vancouver, because he's kind of a worldly guy. His mom, and you all have met her before, Deb Drummond, is with us too. Deb, I'm so happy you're here.
I'm always
And
happy. Look, I get to hang out with you guys.
oh my gosh. And the apple has not fallen far from the tree, this entrepreneurial spirit. So here we are. Ocean Baker, designer, entrepreneur, amazing guy. Ocean, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I mean, I've got on, so let's just start modeling. I have on one of the hats that he designed for the Women's Channel. His mother has founded the Women's Channel on Easy Way TV. Talk more about that later. We have this fabulous hat. This one was for the Oscars last year. And Ocean getting everybody ready for the, incredible gifting suite at the Oscars. Okay, this is my newest purchase. I love it. And this one right here is just, I love this for streetwear. I love it. And I needed white. Okay, this was an Emmys cap.
That was the first, right, Ocean? That was the first designed award show hat. Keep that hat.
Yeah.
Because there weren't many made. I think I was the first one to get one.
Yeah, we have 5 in plastic held in a box that no one's allowed to touch.
Oh, okay. Look at this, y'all. This is just one more. I'm just got to show some of the stuff. This is one of my t-shirts. I've got hoodies. I mean, yeah. Do I dress my age? Absolutely not. I dress the age of art. Okay. So here we go. Ocean, you're hanging out. Wonderful kiddo. Sister, amazing mom. And you go to your mom. How did you know? What did you say? I want to be a designer. What did you say?
I always wanted to do clothing, and I was always into sneakers and streetwear as well. And it really hit me especially when we went to those the conventions, like the sneaker cons and all those big conventions, made me really want to have my own clothing line one day. Because even I was like, lying outside for somebody else's clothing, and I really wanted that the other way around. Somebody to appreciate my stuff and to appreciate my artwork and streetwear, because I kind of put the two together, like high-end streetwear with my art, and I infuse the two together. That's kind of what I always say that I do. But yeah, I always wanted to do that, and so I asked mom the first time, and we waited a while, and then eventually it was a yes, and every step from that was pretty unique, and went down to LA to learn how to make sneakers, and that's how it started, and came back up here and started continuing.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about the art and when you fell in love with art as even younger than that. But Deb, I want to ask you, do you remember the day he said he brought this up?
Oh yeah, I remember 2 days that I won't forget. I literally was cooking over the stove, and he walked into the kitchen, and he was 12, and he thought he should make a formal announcement to me. And that formal announcement, he goes, I just want to let you know I'm a sneakerhead. And now you got to think that was 10 years ago. Ocean's already been doing this thing 10 years. And I go, what? Like what? And then he goes, oh, and I'm a hype beast. My response was, what are you looking at online? Like I wanted to know, like those were not words in our vocabulary. And then he explained to me it's, sneaker and a hype beast is someone who's hype about all this stuff. And then he started, I'm like, so, I have an inquisitive mind. I'm like, what do you mean that, Nike's collaborating with a brand that used to be at Zeller's, and what's this whole collab thing? And then I was intrigued. I was interesting from a business perspective, but then that's where it was. And he started. And of course he was interested in that. Anytime he wanted to get Ocean to go out and hang out, he wanted to go look at, go to Holt Renfrew and look and feel at the clothes. And he would tell me, I think that button should be over there. And he was doing that. And then at 15, it was a formal sit down. It was, he sat on the couch. I could tell you right there. I was sitting in the chair, I probably was too, I was probably working. And he was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I looked across at him and I said, okay, I mean, obviously I knew what he wanted. He wanted to do like clothing and what have you. And I go, for some reason I go, oh, like serious? He's like, serious. I go, how much do you want to make in your first year? And he said a number back to me that I heard my mom's voice in my head go, like it was a large amount of number. It was a large amount of number, large, a lot of zeros. And I thought, Deb, stop. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So, that means serious, right? Like that means that you would have to go serious if you wanted to make that number in your first year of business. And so it was, and that was kind of game on. And then, yeah.
Well, first of all, I want the audience, I'm covered in chills, and y'all, I know these people, they're incredible. I don't know. And it's not the first time I've heard the story, and I'm covered in chills every time. Let me just tell you something. The example, I just want to remind myself and everyone, we are such examples to our kiddos and to those that we meet on the streets even. We really are. And Ocean had this incredible example. I mean, I know Deb and I know her story. And so he knew what he was asking for was possible. So I just want to thank you, Deb, and all of you all out there that are being great examples to youngsters. Okay, Ocean, I want to back up a little bit. So before, when you were really young, before you were 12, did you enjoy, you were drawing, you were creating, was there a certain kind of art? A lot of kiddos, they understand about coloring and coloring books. I do have an incredible great nephew that I hope y'all get to meet sometime. You would be a great inspiration for him. Were you just free flow, artist from the get-go, drawing?
There's certain things I like to draw, like definitely some of obviously like the Japanese tattoo stuff. That was like the first thing I did was the koi fish, and a lot of koi fish actually. That was like the first thing I really liked to draw. And then I did, a couple characters, a couple like one-offs like from little things from shows and stuff. But it was always the Japanese work that I always liked to do was like the koi fish. I drew like so many of them, and
Yes.
I still have an earlier piece at the studio, like one of my first painting ones I did, and that was really cool. So definitely, it's always been a certain style I liked.
I mean, I'll tell you, really cool. And you always had the Japanese influence. It was always, it just spoke to you.
Yeah, it was just something I really liked personally. I just always thought it was really cool, and something that the family would talk about a lot would be the Japanese tattoos, and so it's something I just personally enjoyed.
Now let's move into, so you all, if you're seeing this, if you're not seeing this, behind Ocean is this incredible piece of art, and it is, I think there are three, because I think I can't see one.
It's like two. There's like two of them.
Okay. There are two of these beautiful points, right? So there you go. So, and if you go home, if you're driving, go home and look this up, because very cool. I cannot tell you, I had the complete gift of joining Deb, and there's a group of us, 262, and we were all in Vancouver, and it was Ocean's first live stage.
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you something. So he's got his posters, he's got his original art, he has got his t-shirts, his hats, his stickers, his you name it, it's there. And then we go into this interactive event. So before people start coming down the runway and everybody searching ocean out and all this kind of stuff, you've got these dancers wearing all his clothes. And of course, he's got new stuff. There's original stuff that evening that is displayed and worn. Audience, I want you to remember something. This incredibly talented young man at this time, I guess you were 19, 20 that year?
When we did the show,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I think I was 21, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe he was 21. I mean, listen to this. And when I tell you that this stuff is nice, so this kiddo, this talented kiddo, understands quality. He understands design. He wants his clothes to be worn. It's streetwear. We're going to call it streetwear, right? I mean, that's what it's designer streetwear though. I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times that I don't have it. My amazing hoodie that I got that night. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's comfortable, incredible zipper, throw it on, wear it with anything. So he's 21. We go to this first show and people are just desperate to visit with him about it. But what I found out that night was he also has been designing tattoo art for these incredible tattoo artists that I don't know all their names. He could tell you some of the greatest names, but he's now involved in a movie. His art is meaningful. It's an experience. Tell us a little bit about the movie that your art and your design and your beautiful brain is involved in right now.
Yeah, that's gonna be really awesome. That's gonna be part of, actually, that one is gonna be part of Vancouver as well. They're like local here. So that'd be really amazing. They're gonna have, it's like about this like tattoo artist and it's this whole story throughout. But my pieces will be in a scene where they're at this tattoo shop and the artist will be wearing the clothes and my pieces will be hung up on the wall. And so that's kind of like a little cool Easter egg. So my clothes is technically a character written into the piece, they say. So it's actually wardrobe, which is really, really cool. And then they were talking about possibly having me be like a customer who walks into the tattoo shop, like in the shop. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So that's gonna be really exciting. And then the tattoo show remarks, we made 12 designs for each one of her episodes, and her show is about people getting tattoos for trauma-based reasons. So they all have significant meaning behind each piece. But it took me over a year just to get them all done because I wanted to not be so obvious. I wanted to be like, oh, that's still a cool piece of art on that wall. Like you wouldn't know otherwise until you read it or you watch a show. So yeah, exactly. That's going to be two major things we've been doing this year.
Incredible. And we got to talk about that just for a minute. So the chills again, Ocean, you do it all the time. The thing about this is your pieces, I want to make sure the audience hears that. He has created pieces that have this deep meaning that relates to different types of trauma. And he has done this art like the greats do. You don't look at that and think that immediately. You've got to dive deep into the meaning and understand what the artist has done. I cannot wait for you all to see some of these pieces. I mean, they're spectacular. And I'm going to move over just for a second to you, Deb. Were you like, okay, now we're doing movies?
Well, I think that I've been in business a little while and I understand the promise of the unfolding. And the promise of the unfolding is when you kind of brave up or put yourself out there or extend outside of yourself, that you tend to have things that happen that are unforeseen. I was just recently talking about this. I mean, you too, Carol. I mean, we picked ourselves up. We didn't wait for Hollywood to come to us. We picked ourselves up and we went there. We invested our time, our money, our bravery. We put ourselves on the line, you know, all of that. And I think those are kind of some of the things that happen. So Ocean picks himself up, goes to the events with us, to Oscars, Emmys, Gifting Suite of the Week. And then all of a sudden he gets a deal over here in Vancouver. I mean, I don't think the promise always comes necessarily exactly where you go and do your act of bravery. I think it comes from, you know, hanging in there. It comes from stretching. It comes from, and Ocean talks about patience a lot because, you know, Lordy B, he came to me at 15 years old. You know, I'm a single mom and making sure that this business puts all the rice in the bowls that it needs to do. And then we're doing his stuff on the side and on the side and on the side. And so it was like that. But that's, I think, the kind of things that happen when you're willing to be uncomfortable.
I love that. And you know, Ocean, what your mom, what Deb is saying here is so fabulous, because you have persevered. You've continued to, you know, there's no such thing as perfection, but you've honed your craft and you continue to learn and to stretch. And like she said, get uncomfortable and go into these rooms, into these places. And because of that, it's a complete pleasure to watch your journey just expand and touch more people, because you are touching so many other people and inspiring so many people. Does it feel like that to you, Ocean? Does this journey feel inspirational?
Sometimes, yeah. I think sometimes it hits. Sometimes it's like just continuing. But yeah, I definitely, there's been moments for sure where it's definitely felt like we've had an impact. And then there's definitely times where it feels like it's slow, but
Sure.
it's always every day is, you know, every day is a step forward, right? So it
I'm
just
just like, well, let's just talk about some of the other things going on with you. Well, first, let me ask you this. You are always creating. So you're
Mhm.
always creating new things. Is there a consistency to that you enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of new things that we always do, right? There's always new things in designing, there's always new ideas that we're gonna do. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just always on the road, and it's gonna be pretty cool within the next couple months. Some of the new stuff that we're gonna be, you know, showcasing. And we'll laminate a new book to showcase some stuff coming out, so that's gonna be really cool.
Oh, I can't wait. That's a
Yeah.
secret you just let out, which I'm excited
I know.
about.
I was sitting here going,
Yeah, I know. Okay. But let me ask you this. I know that there are at least 4 trade shows that you've been invited to be in, that you are hitting the road, taking your stuff on the road, correct?
Yes, yes, yeah, and there's one in May that we'll be going to, and that's in Winnipeg. So that'd be interesting. I never been to Winnipeg, so this will be new for me.
Yeah, that's just a cool part of what you do. And what
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk to you about next is, as you travel, what inspires you to create some of your new stuff? You know, you're getting on new streets as you
yeah,
you're meeting new street stuff, and it's like, okay.
yeah. There's always I mean, I have a book full of ideas already, so I'm always adjusting it or just thinking of something a little bit different. So I have a book full of ideas already, so it's never I'm never out of ideas.
Well, and I noticed that Deb had mentioned that, you know, we all had the pleasure of, you know, not that it wasn't hard work, but it was incredibly great, deep, awesome work to meet together at this, you know, at these lounges, these gifting lounges for Oscars and Emmys and such. And I have seen how people gravitate towards your work and towards you. It's really quite cool. And people in the entertainment world and beyond, I mean, podcasters, look, here I am over here covered up in it, but they are drawn to your designs. And I think so much of you clearly is part of the creations, and it's really cool. Have you enjoyed? I've witnessed it. people wanting to learn, kind of, let's call some heavy hitters coming up, want the promotion. Have you enjoyed that part?
Yeah, I definitely have. I mean, I think that's for some reason most of my life. I don't want to sound like arrogant, but that people do seem to tell me feel comfortable with me. Like sometimes even like we have some of our big supporters, and if I go meet them or if I go deliver something to them, they'll tell me something super personal about themselves. Like they seem to be like very comfortable with talking to us, and I think that's what showcases in the art and the clothing as well, that they just feel comfortable, and that's what I want to people to feel like good in in our clothing and be able to, wear it proudly and be able to talk to us and actually meet us in person, which is a big deal.
Ah, I mean, I've watched it. I've heard it, watched it. It's so incredible. And I want to point out, whenever you all go, and you've got to go to Natsukashi Inc., all the links will be there. You need to go to this website. It's immersive. It is you're almost going to a show yourself. It's an interactive experience. And I was so glad, Deb, we talked a little bit about this pre-show, because his stuff it's not just clothes. It's literally an experience. It builds community, building on conversation, building on connection. And you think about what we've spoken about, very, bird's eye view on this stuff. We're talking about artwork and trauma and healing of trauma. We are talking about interactive communication with entertainers and coming from the street. Most movements that are enormous, they're ground root. They're from the streets and up. I mean, you're creating a ripple effect on every level, all the way to being an entrepreneur. You're taking a passion and you're growing it. And I know your mother has been such an example of this to so many. She's one of my not only friends, but a mentor. And we've worked together a lot. It is spectacular that y'all, because it's a team, teamwork makes the dream work. Tell me about working with your mom.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
What part do you want to know, Carroll?
Yeah. Well, let's just say we're gonna
Both is fine. It's true.
It's fun, it's learning, it's tough.
Yeah.
All the things. Is it equal parts of all the things?
I think it's equal parts all the things. I think that's pretty heads on. Like everything is equally tough or fun or easy or
Yeah.
so that's yeah.
Yeah. What about that for you, Deb? What's it like working with your incredibly talented son?
Well, you know what? I think that I talk to a lot of momagers and dadagers, and there's a remembrance that we have, right? It's like when you have a child, or like you look at it as a friend. So if I had a friend of mine that was starting a business that didn't know what I would know, they probably would be really receiving of your information because they want to learn and grow. And there's a stage where it's like that, right? Where you're feeding and you're teaching and you're doing that. And then sometimes, like, everyone knows, don't get your parent to teach you how to drive, because you're going to talk to them the way you'd never talk to a friend, right? And so there's times where you have to recognize that they also know. They know what they know, you know what you know. And sometimes both partners are not going to understand where people are at. You have to drop to that generation or come up to that generation. That's a really hard dance. I always say, and I talk to, King Moore's parents and Princess's parents, and we all have this conversation. It's like we're in this little club, is that we can't expect them to understand like the financial numbers. Yet Ocean comes in as in every not every CFO meeting, but that, and then they start to grasp. And the whole idea is to become collegial with each other, right? In that relationship. But for what's most important is keeping that mother and son relationship alive. Like, I have a lot of respect for him. I think his design is credible, like, not credible, incredible. And then, so it's always, it's a dance, no relationship is perfect in relationship. right? No relationship is perfect in relationship. In relationship to what you're doing, you both may not understand exactly the same thing about the same thing, but you have to have a common ground of respect. I would give up the company in a heartbeat if it meant that we were not able to, like, I know when he's grumpy, he knows when I'm grumpy. We know when just to say, okay, talk to you later. We know each other's rhythm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
But
incredible.
love's got to override, right? Love's got to be the number one thing.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's really, I love this because I know a lot of, I'm going to move from mom, son, business. I'm going to move to parents and kiddos that are in the arts.
Mhm.
There's a real gift that's going on here. And I know the audience is wondering about this because artists, here's Ocean. He's drawing, he's painting. I mean, my goodness, he's creating clothing, hats, pins, tattoos, and all the things. And some people would say, oh, yeah, that's great. It's like a kiddo who's growing up who wants to write music and play the guitar and and the parents are thinking, oh, no. How is this child going to take care of themselves in this industry? And I think that what y'all are doing here is you're inspiring not only on artistic levels and interactive and community and so many levels, but you're also saying, you know what? These kiddos can do it. However, we need to remember and they need to be willing to understand the dance when it comes to money.
Money, business, who's a good person to do business with, especially when you're meeting people for the first time and you are in entertainment and you are in arts and there's opportunities that drop. We collectively made a decision on an offer that came that was not fruitful. Let's put it that way. It was, thank God it wasn't a huge experience, but it was an experience I think that even probably taught Ocean, like, wow, okay, that was a misleading, misleading offer that we purchased into. I think you're right because, and I think, most momagers and dadagers or uncleagers or whatever you are, a juror, understand things about business. And if you don't, you pull it in, you hire it. All those things you can't expect. That's the other thing, right? I always have to stop and remind myself when I'm giving him advice or explaining something, I'm like, I need to explain why those emails of the entry forms are important to go to this person, to go to that person, because it circles around and it builds your community. And then we can market because these are people that want your information. Like there's things that we do, Carroll, in 2 seconds because we know why we're doing it that we forget. And then it's like, oh, and then the communication becomes different because there's an understanding or, yeah, it's just really, there's usually the adult is handling the money and the business and investing and that kind of thing. And then,
it's incredible that to have that experience and what you said is so huge. And Ocean, I feel like you probably already appreciate this. So often when this is more of a leadership moment in this conversation. So often it's easier for people to get on board to do things when they understand why. And what you've just said, Deb, is we can't just jump forward with this incredibly talented kiddo, whether he's 12 or 21 or 30. Those are still very young ages. 30 is still very young, although 30-year-olds don't think so. It's true. And let me just tell you that Ocean, I have to commend you because there's no way to learn unless you're willing to say, okay, it's not the part I love, but it's important. And I think you're inspiring so many, many, many youngsters, talented. And with Deb, I think y'all are, maybe a lot of the parents that are listening are like, you know what? I can be more supportive.
I'll tell you where I think that it is, I saw it, and I think Ocean can talk to it. And I think that one of the most important things you can learn. So Ocean, one of the biggest smiles I ever saw my kid take was when he put that first piece of fabric under a sewing machine, and he was making a bandana. It wasn't about what he was making. but he'll tell you himself. So I'll stop talking about everything that he learned of the clothing process, and then he made a decision that that was not part of it that he wanted to
Yeah.
play in, right? Like, but at least he knew the process.
I mean, you had to learn how to make patterns.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? What do you think about that? And how do you feel about getting at the sewing machine?
I like the pattern making. I like that. I wasn't the biggest fan of actually sewing the items, but making the pattern and making the design, that's the part I really liked. But yeah, definitely that was the my favorite part of it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I know, and oh, I don't want to hang up. I want to keep talking. I have so many questions for each of you. So, Ocean, let's just for a moment talk about where you hope. I mean, turns out you're a man with a plan. Where do you hope for this to go? Do you love seeing your stuff, whether it's from a stage, from a musician or a dancer, or is just walking or on the streets? Is that your favorite part?
I think so. Yeah, I really do like seeing the people wearing it, like who I don't know, like on the streets, really cool, and people like me seeing it like outside and people wearing it. That's really 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 cool. I really do like that. That's like one of my favorite parts about it.
Well, I know there are quite a few. We won't get into the list, but a lot of let's say bigger names than mine from stages wearing his cool stuff, y'all. I mean, I hope that doesn't deter anybody because I love it so much, but I do have pretty good taste. Okay, let me ask you a question, Ocean. How can, we need to spread the word, right?
Mhm.
Tell us. Oh, and I want to point out to the audience, you do custom design.
Yeah, yeah, I do as well, and
And
artwork.
it's a big deal. And in order for somebody to have that conversation, literally, they could get on a Zoom with you. Y'all can just talk about it, see their style. Is that best if they just hook up a time to visit with you?
Yeah, yeah. Text us on the Instagram page, or if you have a card, we'll
Sure.
information on there as well. Yeah, yeah, definitely need to make a call, some and then book something.
I've seen well, everything he does is custom, but just for an individual. I have to say, Deb had some white pants that I thought, my gosh, I want those white pants so bad. Okay, so the thing about this is for the audience to know, we are having a conversation from just a talented young man, whether it's drawing, painting, tattoos, clothes, beanies, hats, pins. He does artwork for the books. I know everyone has seen the cover of the anthologies that Deb has produced, and I've had the pleasure of being a part of. He does that. We're talking about a guy who literally right now will talk to all of us about doing some custom work. I'm afraid in a few years, we're not going to be able to get in touch with him. But the bottom line is get on that interactive website, follow him all over everywhere. We'll get him to come back and give us updates. Is there anything that either of you would like to leave with the audience to let them know before we have to stop our conversation? I'm sick about it.
No, I think I'd love to hear Ocean talk a little bit because you talked about him being an inspiration to his age. I was able to observe him going into the University of Alberta by Zoom and teaching a business class on entrepreneurship. So that's all I'm going to say, and then you can ask him about that. But I was blown away.
Because really, and I'm so glad you brought that up because it's not just his age.
Mm-mm.
This is the, and I'm chills again, but I think the audience hears that. This is an inspirational young man to people of all ages and all walks of life. Tell us about teaching this class, Ocean.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was like a college class, and what they were learning was entrepreneurship. Even though some of them might not pursue it, they still took the class to learn about it, and that was really cool talking to everyone and explaining what I do and explaining what we've done throughout like the beginning, and them asking questions about certain things that I was saying about, and that was really cool to see them fascinated and interested into it and be able to speak to a whole bunch of people like that, like a classroom full of people. Definitely was like a little bit nerve wracking, but once we got into it, it was easy, and they liked us, and we sent a little goodie bag for the people who came there, and that was really fun.
But Ocean, think about that. You were speaking to young people in college.
Yeah.
You have already been an entrepreneur. I'm not sure when this was, so I'm going to say 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, was that this year? I think that was
Yeah,
maybe this
about
year.
3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And it was a university. Yeah.
Just incredible. And so I'm going to actually throw out there, I'm going to sign you up for speaking too. Sorry, I'm going to be teaching some entrepreneurial classes. Put that on y'all's list. Really, I'm so glad you brought that up, Deb. And I know that, we do these podcasts. Deb does her, we all do these podcasts in order to educate and inspire and spread and connect in a time where people so often, whether it was a time where people think about just being disconnected or not, it's important. Ocean, your story matters so much. You are such a talented child of God, and you have, I don't know if I'm your number one fan, but I think I'm in the top.
You're up there.
I think so.
You're top tier. You're top tier.
And I just so appreciate you, Deb. You know how much I adore and appreciate you.
You too.
Thank you both for being here. I know the audience, I can't wait till they all start checking all the stuff out and getting some of this good gear. And I hope y'all will come back. We'll kind of update on what's going on. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. For sure. Oh, and if you want to find us online, it's Natsukashi Inc. and it's spelled Natsukashii and an ink as in INK.
.world.
And then .world to find the website.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you something. Y'all all just need to very safely get to wherever you are, and it's going to all be right there for you. So you can click and not remember how to spell.
Yeah.
I am so appreciative of y'all. Thank you, Father. Thank you, audience. Ocean and Deb, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Carroll. That was awesome. That was beautiful. Nice. When you get to hang out with people that are your tribe.
Yeah. It's fun, isn't it? I love it so much.